She started a new life in my city to be near me. Then she tried to burn it all down when I chose my own happiness. Let me back up. I'm a 39-year-old woman who, up until last year, thought I had a friend for life. I was wrong in the most spectacularly dramatic way possible. Her name is Diana, and our story is a masterclass in how a seemingly devoted friendship can curdle into something toxic, dangerous, and utterly absurd. It began nearly 12 years ago in Denver. We both landed jobs at the same boutique marketing firm. Diana, a year older than me, was sharp and witty in interviews, but within days of her starting, a shadow seemed to follow her. She was profoundly negative, dissecting everyone's choices with clinical, cold-air superiority. She'd tell our co-worker his new car was a financial death trap, or inform me in turn that her college major was pointless. With me, it started subtly. "You're really going to eat that for lunch?" she'd say. Or, "I heard that neighborhood you're looking at has declining property values." I'd avoid it. At the same time, she latched on to me with an intensity that was both flattering and unnerving. Within a fortnight, she declared I was the only real person she'd met in the city, her best friend. Having recently moved to Denver myself and feeling a bit adrift, mistook this intensity for genuine kinship. I was lonely. She was effusive. It was a potent and ultimately poisonous cocktail. The first major red flag waved wildly about a month in. A group of my childhood friends from Arizona were visiting for a weekend. I'd mentioned it in passing. On the Saturday night, as we were heading out to a nice dinner, my phone blew up. It was Diana. She was sobbing. Why wasn't I invited? I thought we were close. I don't have anyone here. I was stunned. I tried to explain these were friends I'd had since I was 5, that this was a pre-planned reunion. Her response was a guilt trip masterstroke. "I just thought I meant more to you. I guess I was wrong about our friendship." I spent half the dinner feeling sick with guilt. My friends, perceptive as ever, asked if everything was okay. I brushed it off. "She's just having a hard time," I said, a phrase I'd repeat to myself for a decade. Things escalated when she started dating James, a quiet, kind man from our accounting department. I was relieved. Great. I thought this would give her something else to focus on, balance her out. For a while it seemed to. She was less clingy with me, slightly sunnier. A year and a half later, she and James got engaged. She asked me, with tears in her eyes, to be one of her 2 bridesmaids. Of course, I said yes. How could I not? She presented it as the ultimate proof of our bond. Around the time of her wedding, I was in a serious relationship with a man named Ben. We'd been together for 3 years and were talking about our future. Diana and James bought a house. Not just any house. They bought a property less than 2 miles from the condo Ben and I owned together. At her housewarming party, Diana raised a glass and announced, "We passed on a much better place in Boulder because being close to my best friend was the most important thing." She beamed at me. The room applauded. Ben shot me a look that said, "That's intense." I just smiled nervously, a knot forming in my stomach. 6 months after that, my world collapsed. I discovered Ben had been having an affair with a colleague. The betrayal was gutting. After a period of agonizing heartbreak, I made a decision. I couldn't stay in that condo, in that neighborhood, surrounded by the ghosts of our plans. I listed the condo and decided to move to Portland, Oregon, where my sister lived. A fresh start. When I told Diana, her reaction was not one of comfort. It was pure, unadulterated rage. She came over and screamed at me in my half-packed living room. "How could you do this to me? You're abandoning me. I bought that house for U.S. For our life here. There's no point in me being in Denver now. We were supposed to be 2 couples raising kids together. You are a selfish, awful friend." I stood there, shell-shocked, my own grief now compounded by her vitriol. She had made my personal catastrophe all about her. The friendship fracture was now a canyon. I moved to Portland. The distance was a blessing. I slowly rebuilt my life. I thrived in my new job, made new friends, and began dating casually, cautiously. Diana, I heard through the grapevine, had convinced James to move to Seattle a year later for his job. We were in a quiet détente, occasional, superficial likes on social media, but no real contact. I felt myself breathing easier. The constant low-grade anxiety her presence in my life had caused finally fading. Then I met Raphael. He was a warm, brilliant architect from Chile, here on a project that became permanent. He was everything Ben wasn't. Emotionally available, deeply kind, and with a quiet confidence that didn't need to dim anyone else's light. After 2 years, he proposed on a wind-swept Oregon coast beach. I said yes, utterly sure for the first time in my life. And then, like a specter from a past life, Diana reemerged. She saw my engagement post on Instagram. The messages started, "OMG, I'm so happy for you. You have to let me be there. I'm your oldest friend. I need to be a bridesmaid. After everything we've been through, the guilt, that old familiar anchor, began to drag at me. Maybe I'd been too harsh. Maybe she'd changed. Perhaps this was a chance to mend things. Against my better judgment, and against Raphael's gentle, concerned advice, queried, "Are you sure?" You get a tension headache every time her name comes up. I asked her to be a bridesmaid. It was a catastrophic error in judgment. The wedding was to be in Portland, but we planned a small, elegant ceremony. Raphael's family, however, is huge and incredibly close. About 40 of them planned to fly in from Chile. Diana immediately insisted to James that she would come alone. "It's a girl's thing," she told me, though James was my friend too and had always been lovely. He was hurt, but, being James, didn't make a fuss. The drama began with travel. She missed her original flight from Seattle, claiming stress. This meant she arrived not the morning of the rehearsal dinner, but an hour before it started. My cousin had to leave the intimate family gathering at our favorite restaurant to pick her up from the airport, a 30-minute drive each way. At the rehearsal dinner, she drank, heavily and quickly. While the rest of us nibbled appetizers and shared stories, she was downing margaritas. She became loud, overly familiar with Raphael's uncles, and then slurring. By the end of the night, she was barely able to stand. Raphael, my brother, and I literally had to carry her up to her hotel room, where she passed out on the bed. My romantic, sentimental rehearsal dinner was now a memory of strain and embarrassment. The wedding day dawned bright and clear. I pushed the previous night's events aside, determined to enjoy my day. Diana appeared at the bridal suite, looking pale but insisting she was fine. During the ceremony, she stood with the other bridesmaids, but her smile looked more like a grimace. At the reception, she headed straight for the open bar. There was a beautiful moment in the evening, an anniversary dance, where all married couples join the dance floor, and the DJ dismisses them by years married until the longest married couple remains. Diana, alone, walked right into the middle of the dancing couples as the music started and stood there, arms crossed, a defiant and profoundly awkward statue amidst the happy pairs. The DJ, confused, didn't know what to do. Raphael's grandmother finally gently guided her off the floor. My sister later told me Diana had muttered, "I should be dancing with someone," but he didn't come. Then she disappeared. For nearly an hour, worry began to prick at me, cutting through my happiness. Then Raphael's younger cousin, wide-eyed, found me. "Senora," he whispered, "I think you should come. The lady in the green dress, she is in one of the upstairs bedrooms with my Tio Felipe." Felipe was one of Raphael's groomsmen, a charming, happily married father of two who had flown in from Santiago. The scene that followed was a nightmare. A small group of us, including Raphael and his furious older brother, found a locked guest bedroom in the venue's private quarters. We could hear noises inside. Raphael's brother pounded on the door. After a long minute, a disheveled Felipe opened it, horror dawning on his face. Behind him, Diana was hurriedly trying to fix her bridesmaid dress. The news spread through our wedding like a wildfire. The music seemed to die. 120 people were now buzzing with the scandal. But she's married? Who is that? Did you see her during the dance? My wedding had come to a crashing, humiliating halt. I spent the next hour consoling Felipe's weeping wife, while Raphael dealt with guilt-ridden Felipe. Diana was escorted out by a venue manager and put in a cab. She had left her purse, so I was handed her phone. As I placed it in my clutch, it lit up with notifications. The preview of a text from James Redhart read, "Hope you're having fun at the wedding, miss you. Can't wait for you to come home tomorrow." The photos came back. In almost every group shot, Diana is scowling, her eyes glassy, her posture hostile. Even during the innocent bridesmaid photos before the ceremony, her smile doesn't reach her eyes. It's a gallery of my poor judgment. In the year that followed, Raphael and I built a beautiful, peaceful marriage. Diana, I learned, left James. She never told him about Felipe. She told mutual acquaintances the marriage just faded and that James wasn't supportive. She also, bizarrely, decided to pursue Felipe, who wanted absolutely nothing to do with her and had worked tirelessly to save his own marriage. She started posting about starting over and following her heart to South America, though she'd never been. And then the social media posts. Every time her name popped up in my feed, my chest would tighten. It was always a victim narrative. The world was against her. Bosses were jealous. Friends were fake. Men were disappointing. Nothing was ever her fault. The final straw was a lengthy post about toxic people who use you and discard you, filled with vague booking that I knew in my bones was aimed at me. I realized she was still taking up space in my head, still controlling my emotional weather from hundreds of miles away. I was done. I didn't block her. I simply unfollowed her and removed her as a friend. It was a quiet digital severance. For about a month, there was silence. Then the storm hit. It started with my sister texting me, "Hey, why is Diana messaging me asking if you're mad at her? She's saying you've changed and are forgetting where you came from." Weird. Then my stepdad called. Got a strange message from a Diana. Says she's worried about your mental state and that you're cutting off old friends. She was circling my family. Finally, the direct message to me arrived. It was a wall of text. "After all I've done for you, I was there through your worst breakup. I made you a bridesmaid. I supported you when you had no one in Denver. And this is how you thank me? By ghosting me? You owe me an explanation. You wouldn't be where you are without me." The anger that rose in me was clean and sharp. Thanks to a lot of therapy since the wedding, I saw the dynamic with crystal clarity. I wasn't responsible for her happiness. I didn't owe her a lifetime of loyalty for a friendship that had been, from the start, more about her needs than any mutual connection. I took a deep breath and typed my reply. It was brief, firm, and final. "Diana, our relationship became unhealthy a long time ago. It's been defined by obligation and guilt, not mutual respect or joy. I've realized I need to move on from it for my own well-being. I wish you all the best in the future, but I will not be continuing this friendship. Please do not contact me or my family again." The deluge that followed was epic. 12, 15 long, rambling messages. Lists of every perceived favor. Letting me cry about Ben once, ignoring her subsequent fury, putting me in her wedding, as if it were a throne she bestowed, invited herself on a camping trip I planned, and then complaining nonstop about the bugs. She accused me of being jealous of her global adventures. She'd posted a picture of an airport lounge, of being manipulated by Raphael, of being a fair-weather friend. Then came the social media blitz, a barrage of memes about betrayal, quotes about real friends knowing the real you, and cryptic lyrics about being stabbed in the back. My friend sent me screenshots. Aghast, I thought that would be the end of it. It was not. That very evening, my phone rang. It was my stepdad, his voice tight with alarm. She's here. Diana. She's on our front porch. She's very drunk, and she's screaming for us to tell her the truth about why you're doing this. My blood ran cold. My elderly stepdad and my mother lived in a quiet suburb of Phoenix. She had flown there? Driven? I told him under no circumstances to open the door and to call the police immediately. I listened, helpless and horrified, as he put the phone down. In the background, I could hear a distant, slurred, furious yelling. Tell me. You tell her to call me. I know you know. She's lying to everyone. My stepdad came back online. Police are on the way. She's pounding on the door now. The next 10 minutes were an eternity. Then, through the phone, I heard the sirens and muffled commands, Diana's voice rising in a shriek of indignation at the officers. She's my family. They're hiding things. She can't do this to me. There was a commotion, then the distinct sound of handcuffs clicking. An officer got on the phone with my stepdad to confirm details. She was being arrested for trespassing, disorderly conduct, and public intoxication. The officer suggested they would be pursuing a temporary restraining order on my parents' behalf, and recommended I do the same in Oregon. He said calmly, "Ma'am, based on her statements tonight, this appears to be a fixation. You should take precautions." There's been no contact from her since that night. The legal wheels turned. A no-contact order was put in place for my parents. I filed for one in my state. The hearing was a stark, formal affair that she did not attend. It was granted. Sometimes, in my most peaceful moments, sipping coffee with Raphael on our sunny patio, laughing with my sister, walking through the Portland roses, the surreal horror of it all washes over me. A woman built a significant part of her life's narrative around a proximity to me, a friendship she idealized and controlled. When I dared to live my own life, make my own choices, and finally set a boundary, that narrative shattered, and with it, her sanity seemed to fracture. She chose to become the villain in my story. And in doing so, she wrote herself out of it completely. The final update came via a mutual acquaintance from the Denver days, who heard it through James, who was understandably shattered but finally free. After the arrest, Diana's family, a distant, frail mother and an uncle, became involved. They apparently orchestrated a move back to her home state of Ohio, and, according to the grapevine, were seeking intensive help for her. The dream of South America was gone. The victim narrative, I hope, is finally being examined under a clinical light, not just broadcast on social media. My story ends not with dramatic confrontation, but with quiet, with the profound, grateful silence of a life no longer soundtracked by someone else's drama. I learned the hard way that not all friendships are meant to last a lifetime, and that history is not a valid reason to tolerate toxicity. The price of my former passivity was high. It cost me the sanctity of my own wedding day. But the lesson was priceless. I now protect my peace like the precious, fragile thing it is. The door to that chapter is not just closed. It is locked, bolted, and the key has been melted down.